You're clearing land she gave up years ago!
Why was her concrete edging buried under your side?
She ignored this whole corner for years!
Because I couldn't even walk back here anymore.
I didn't expect clearing a wall of dead vines behind an elderly woman's backyard would uncover another serious property dispute until I started break time through 05s, cutting through the thick overgrowth packed between the old wooden fence and the tall metal boundary wall, and realized the entire rear corner of the break time's 05's yard had been swallowed by years of tangled brush, hidden debris, and collapsing fence lines. Break 5's. After pulling away enough dead vines and branches, I uncovered old concrete edging and rusted survey markers buried beneath the dirt, while break time 5's wooden fence had visibly bowed several feet inward toward the elderly homeowner's side of the property. Break time 05's. When I knocked on the small brick house nearby, an 87-year-old retired hospital cleaner named Mrs. Break time 05's. Evelyn Brooks slowly stepped outside with severe arthritis in both hands and a noticeable limp. Breakpoint 05's. Dotsy explaining that after losing mobility over the last few years, she physically could not keep clearing the rear boundary herself anymore. Break time point 05's. And according to Evelyn, the neighbor beside her started insisting the overgrown section wasn't really hers anymore because nobody had maintained it. Break times 05's properly in years. Break 05's, and every time she tried hiring someone or clearing the area herself, the arguments immediately started again with threats about damaging shared. Break times 05's fencing, trespassing. Break time 05's are touching land that already belonged to somebody else. So eventually she stopped walking into the back section of the yard altogether because the break time 05's, dead vines, hidden holes, and unstable fence became too dangerous for someone her age to handle alone. Break time 5's. But what made everything worse was the city had already mailed her a $680 hazard notice after inspectors flagged the rear overgrowth during break time 05's neighborhood fire safety inspection. Break time 05's, warning her that additional penalties could begin within 10 days if the dead vegetation and debris were not removed. Break time 05, so I offered to clear the entire area for free before the fines escalated any further. Break B5's. And the moment I began cutting through the heavy vines and exposing the buried concrete edging, the neighbor suddenly appeared behind the fence. Break time 05's, demanding I stop because they claimed the rear section had become shared space after years of neglect. 5's. But the more debris I removed, the more obvious it became that the original boundary had slowly been pushed inward while the thick overgrowth concealed. Break time. How much usable space Evelyn had quietly lost over time. And break. Honestly, watching an elderly woman stand silently near her back door while someone argued over land she had taxes on for decades was break time point 05's frustrating because she was not abandoning her property, she was simply old, physically weak. Break times 05's and overwhelmed by a situation someone else clearly benefited from. Break time 5's. Instead of backing away, I kept clearing the rear corner until the buried edging and original markers became impossible to ignore. Break time 05's, and by the time the entire dirt line was visible again, it was obvious how easily elderly homeowners can slowly lose control over parts of their own. Break time 05 property once age and isolation make it impossible to keep fighting constant disputes alone. So tell me honestly, at what point does ignoring an elderly neighbor's condition stop being a disagreement and start becoming exploitation?